Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. We scored 16 points. How about that? I know the refs creaked us. That was part of it, but that wasn't why we lost. I don't recognize this offense. I just don't. It doesn't look like the offense we've had for the last 2 years at all. I don't recognize this offense. What do y'all think? We're using all our timeouts and we're down. Down 19 points and we're using all our timeouts. So 16 points. How about that? And I guess we're going to run the ball when we're down 3 scores because that's what we can do. This is not good. And I understand y'all been mad at me for being on the fence. You've been mad at me for being on the fence. I get it. I do. Nice guy. Everybody likes him. Got the big arm. But you know what? There's more to being a quarterback than having a big arm. Making clutch third down passes. Yeah. Just unfortunate. But, look, it was Florida at the Swamp. They played well. They played that first half really well. They came out there. They gave us everything they got. And the Swamp's a hard place to play. There's a reason why I was so concerned about playing at the Swamp. We were the better team, but we're not the better team when our offense is just, like I said, 2 years of watching that offense and then watching what we saw tonight, it didn't look anything like it. It looked like, I don't know. Can we throw a forward pass? Or can we, we can throw a couple long bombs, it looks like, but it looks to me like we just throw sideways and we run the ball because that's what we can do. I don't know. It's I hear you, Denny. I don't know that we're going to see that, though. I think I don't know. I am incredibly unhappy with what I just saw. There were so many mistakes made by the offense in that second half to get back. They tried to get us back in the game. Florida really tried hard to get us back in the game. And we scored 3 points in like multiple attempts. And I know the refs didn't help us. Believe me, I know that. But 16 points is just ridiculous with that offense. It's just, oh man, it's frustrating. Kevin, I hear you. I knew there'd be a lot of penalties because, you're going to have 4 or 5 penalties for being false starts and all that kind of stuff down there at the Swamp. And that's what I've been saying for the last 2 days. Expect 3 or 4 false starts. We missed Cooper. We missed Cooper big time, no doubt. But 16 points, folks, 16 points. We didn't play. That wasn't Georgia, okay? That was not Georgia. That was – I could not be more frustrated with what I just saw, and I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked by it. I'm really not. What I would do with this team right now, I would take a look at all the positions and kind of make some decisions of what we're going to do. Because why are we using our timeouts when we're behind? Because we can't get in the right play. Why? I just I would open up several positions, and I'd open up the QB position. I would. I'm not saying bench Milton. I would just open it up, and I want to see what Nico can do. I want to see what Gaston Moore can do. That's all. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why that's such a controversial thing to say. That we look at the positions that struggle tonight, and look, I know. Look, Joe made some nice passes. He did. He made a couple of nice passes. Beautiful. But there's a lot more to being a quarterback than making a couple of long bombs. There's a lot to it. There's those third down passes. There's getting in the right play. There's not having to take timeouts, things like that. And it's very frustrating. And I know y'all are frustrated. It's a real pain. No doubt. Let's see if I can get Chilm on it. I actually started this a little bit early because this game went quicker because they were running the ball so much and trying to run the clock down on us, which they did a beautiful job in the first half. Florida did a great job in the first half of running the clock and trying to shorten the game. But in the second half, they tried to get us back in the game. And I agree, we got no favors from the refs. I understand that's not why we lost, though. But we didn't get any favors. They made a couple of calls that were BS, big-time BS. I agree. But this offense looks at times kind of rudderless, and we're having to use timeouts when we're down 3 scores. Man. And look, it's tough to play it down there at the Swamp. Like I said, there's a reason we've lost 9 in a row, now 10. 10 in a row down there. It's a tough place to play, especially at 7 o'clock at night. But, geez, what's with our offense? What in the heck is going on with it? We used to get up there and just do. And now it's like, well, we can kind of run it a little bit. We can throw sideways, and occasionally we can throw a bomb. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like the offense that I'm used to watching. You know, I don't mind losing. I really don't. It's going to happen from time to time, especially in the SEC on the road. You're going to lose some games. But when we look dysfunctional at times on the side of the ball where we've been just glorious, with the exception of the Georgia game last year, even the South Carolina game, we scored 38 points. We scored 16, and we're lucky to get that. We were lucky to get 16. Florida tried to put us back in the game. They did. They tried hard in the second half to let us back in. We just couldn't do it. We just could not do it. It's that's the most frustrating game I've watched because at least in the South Carolina game, our offense moved the ball. We scored points, and the defense just wasn't there. But our offense was pedestrian. It's just pedestrian. It's discombobulated is the right word, I think. It doesn't look focused. It doesn't look like we know exactly what we're doing. We're constantly having to call timeouts. And I expected the false starts, but just the, second half, all we could do is run the ball. It's like, and then occasionally throw a ball over the top. I don't know. I could not. So frustrated, so incredibly frustrated with what I just saw. I know y'all. Yeah, I know. It felt that way, but I agree, Bob. Bob, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm really not. Yeah, of course it was winnable. Of course it was, but you've got to take advantage of the opportunities. You've got to take advantage of the opportunities. And we didn't do it. I mean, they continued 4 quarters. Well, that there's some truth in that, Kevin. But I was just that's incredibly disappointing that our offense was that, I don't know, just so out of sync. The whole game, it seemed like, except the first drive, that was a beautiful first drive. And then after that, it was just clink, clunk, clink, clunk. we don't know what we're doing. We're kind of over here. We're kind of doing this. It was never, it just felt rudderless. That's what it felt like to me. It felt rudderless. I don't know. Again, I'm not shocked that look, Florida showed up with their hair on fire. Told you that was going to happen. They were going to show up and give us everything they got. I told you that Graham Mertz was going to throw for 300 and probably give us his best game ever, which he did in the first half. Second half, he didn't do anything special, really. First half, he did. Yeah, well, you're right about that. Look, yeah, it's just, I know. I'm hearing you folks. I know what you're thinking. Because I hope Tennessee fans say the ref cost us the game. Yeah, we kind of opened it at the end when it was over. I'll agree with that a little bit, but that's also because Florida was playing way off, trying to just milk the clock and not let anything crazy happen, which it kind of did there towards the end. But a couple of those third downs and throwing the ball in the dirt were so important. We have I believe me, I understand there's way more that happened other than the quarterback. Our defense didn't control the run well. They ran the ball on us really well. And look, you're at their home. And their crowd had them fired up, and they played fired up. And our defense got tired in the first half because they were out there the whole time. And Graham Mertz did a really good job on some third downs. He really was a major contributor in that first half. So I got to give Graham Mertz credit. He did what I thought he'd do. He'd throw for 300 yards, and he played better than I thought, though. I didn't think he would be 5 of 6 in the first half on the third downs. Oh, yeah, the jumping off sides on that fourth down. The entire time I'm sitting there going, he's not going to hike the ball. Whatever you do, don't jump. Don't jump, whatever you do. I didn't think we'd come back, honestly, even if we hadn't. But you can't jump in that situation. And, of course, that's what he did. He was trying to just draw us off, and we jumped off sides. It was just – that was sad. That really was, because it was so obvious. It was just so obvious what they were trying to do. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and tell you, folks, I'm not on the fence anymore. I'm not on the fence anymore. I'm just not. Sorry. I know I'm going to take a lot of grief, and everybody likes him, and he's got a great arm and all of that. But there's a lot more to being a quarterback than throwing a 50-yard pass. Now, I will tell you this. He can make some beautiful passes. I'll give him that. Absolutely. Absolutely he can. He made some nice passes tonight, and but I think Heupel's going to have to take a good hard look at his offense right now, because it's clunky. And I saw it in the Austin Peay game. I saw it in the first half of the Virginia game, and then I saw it big time in the Austin Peay game. We scored 30 points on a team that we should have scored 60. And it was, what was it, 6-6 with a minute left in the first half against Austin Peay? 6-6. That should scream problem. That should scream problem. And unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know that there's going to be adjustments made. I really don't. Y'all tell me what you think. Let's see here. I'm sorry, but not accurate and consistent. I'd say there's some truth there. Let's see. It's not Joe. It's offensive play calling. Okay. Gaston Moore. Yeah. I don't understand not playing anybody in the first 3 games other than one player. I don't get it. But here's the thing. When you don't jump out ahead against Austin Peay, you don't get to see anybody else. You just don't. And I like Joe. God, he couldn't be a nicer guy. Everybody likes him. But we cannot be clunky. We can't go out there and not know what we're doing on offense and be smooth and like we were the last 2 years. You know, I don't expect any quarterback to play as well as Hendon did, but I expect him to be close. And I just didn't see it. I don't know. We'll see what happens when we play UTSA, but, you know, score 16 points in that situation where Florida was pulling back in the second half and just giving you whatever you wanted, just don't score too fast on us. I agree. That's why you know, I took a lot of grief over that, folks. I took a lot of grief putting myself back on the fence. A lot of y'all yelled at me, you know, I'm going to unsubscribe to you and all this kind of stuff. It's like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you when I do this show. I am concerned about our QB situation. And I have been really since the Austin Peay game. You know, I was fine with it after the Clemson game, and I told you that during the offseason. But then I saw just a tremendous clunker of a game in Austin Peay to where we had to give up the forward pass. Well, guess what? We kind of did that tonight too. In the second half, we just had to run the ball. I mean, we're down 3 scores, but we're having to run the ball or we're throwing it to the sidelines. And then every once in a while, we throw one deep. I don't think this offense works that way. You've got to have accuracy. You've got to have good timing and get yourself in and out of the right plays and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just not seeing it. So, man. I know. I get it. I know everybody's disappointed. I do get it. Yeah, I have to agree. The defense really struggled. And I will give Graham Mertz credit for those clutch third down passes he made. There was a couple of them that were really, really good. You know, they just were. They were clutch. Big time clutch. I hear you, Matt. Oh, yeah. Imagine the crap I'm going to take. I'm going to take it from both ends on this one. I'm going to take it from the Florida people, and I'm going to take it from the Tennessee people that said I shouldn't be on the fence about Joe Milton. And it sucks, too, because I really like Joe. I really, really do. But 16 points in a Josh Heupel offense, that shouldn't happen. That just should not happen. They did in the first half. You're absolutely right. In the first half, they did. Second half, they gave us 10 opportunities to get back in that game. We scored 3 points in that third quarter or whatever. I mean, good grief. They literally said, here, get back in the game. And we just couldn't pull it off. I could not be more frustrated as I am right now. I'm not thinking positive, Charles. I'm not. And it's not, look, I went into this game with my eyes wide open. Eyes were wide open. I couldn't get comfortable with it. Look, any team would struggle at the Swamp at 7 o'clock at night on Saturday and all that. But Florida, you'll see at the end of the year what Florida's record is, and that'll make you even madder than what happened tonight. It will make you angrier than what happened tonight, because that's a 6-win team that just that wore us out tonight. That's a 6-win team, and they didn't have any trouble. And we scored 16 points. It's very unfortunate, but you know, sometimes you got to go backwards to go forwards in this life, especially in sports. So we'll see how this all plays out. You know, none of my guests are showing up that I've invited. They don't want to come back on. I don't blame them. Plus, I'm 20 minutes early because this game flew by because Florida in the first half ran the ball and ran the clock like crazy with these new rules. But I don't think it would have mattered. Did you folks ever feel comfortable that, hey, we're going to go down there and score a touchdown? We're going to score. We're going to do this. Did y'all ever feel that way? because I didn't. I just felt like it felt a little bit Keystone Cops to me, where it's just, we're not really sure what we're doing. And I don't know that look, we could have had the old rules. If you can't score with numerous opportunities with that offense invites you to score. We just couldn't do it. We got to run the ball now. We got to throw sideways, and we got to run the ball for the most part, because the forward pass is a tough one. We did have two nice touchdowns that were over the top, but 16 points. 16 points. 16 points. And we were lucky to get that. 16 points. That's why I thought we'd win 31-28. And let's see, what did Florida end up with? I came on here a little bit early because I was so frustrated. Good grief. What a terrible game. What an absolute terrible, terrible, terrible game. 29. So if we just scored 31, we win. But 16, I'm sorry. That's why I had 31-28. There's only one. What was there? One game last year we scored less than 20 or 30 points. I think was Georgia, and that was it. And that was at Georgia. That was the number one defense in the country. I'm sorry, Florida's defense is not special. It's just not. The problem is here's the problem with pushing the offense. You have to actually, you've got to keep it going. If you push the offense and it works, you're great. But if you can't, then it's a disaster. And that's what happened the first half towards the second and third part of it, because, we scored right off the bat and everything was going well, and then just kaboom. We're not going to win the rest of our games. I wish we could. We're not going to. It's just not going to happen. We're going to have to make some changes. We're going to go through some growing pains here, folks. I'll just go ahead and tell you, we're going to go through some growing pains. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that. Thank you, Tyler. And those pains are going to be exactly that. They're going to be painful. We're going to have to open up a few positions. I think that's pretty obvious. Offensive line, we missed Cooper. We clearly missed Cooper tonight. That played a role. And I hate getting on college athletes. I really do. As a former Division I athlete myself, I know they're trying as hard as they possibly can. And I really want to say this because it sounds like I'm down on Joe. Joe is there's nobody on this planet that's trying harder than he is. There really isn't. And there's nobody trying harder than Ollie Lane. They're all giving it everything they got. It's just, unfortunately, you're going up against tremendous players on the other side in the SEC, and they had the crowd. And the crowd makes a big difference. It really does. That's why I was worried about going down there. I couldn't feel comfortable, but And I even put out a video talking about being back on the fence because I went into this game on the fence. It's not a good feeling. Your trigger man has got to be really good in the SEC. He's got to ask Alabama. Ask Alabama. How are they doing? How are they scoring? They scoring a lot of points? What's the difference? You'd better be good at that position. You'd better be really, really good and efficient. And we've got a talented guy at that position. He's very talented. But man, I hate it too. Golly. It's really frustrating. I'm so frustrated right now. I felt it in the first half. I could just feel the balloon, just the oxygen coming out of it. It's really a shame. And there's, There's nobody that wants Joe to play better. There's nobody that wants the offensive line to play better than me, because that would, it helps me personally. It just does. Not only does it help me emotionally as a human being, but it helps my YouTube channel. When we're playing well and doing great, man, it's great for me. But I've also got to tell you what I really think. I got to tell you what I really think. And I've been on the fence, and I'm not on the fence anymore. I'm opening up some competitions. The quarterback is one of those positions. And I'm going to play Nico, and I'm going to play Joe. I'm not benching him, but I'm going to play Nico. And I'm going to start putting him in for some series. And I'm also going to take a look at Gaston Moore. I'm going to open it up a little bit and see what happens. Because 16 points is not going to get the job done. Had we scored, 38 and been beat, or 31, I'd be like, well, you know what? We just got beat. That's what happened. You know what happened in the South Carolina game last year? We just got beat. We just got whooped. But when you score 16, you're not going to beat anybody. Okay? Let me just, folks, I'm going to go ahead and put this on you. If you score 16 points in 2023, you're not going to beat anybody. You will not beat a soul unless it's Little Sisters of the Poor, some team that can't smell it. You will not beat anybody. And that's what we scored tonight. And it could have been 10. That won't work. That will not work in a Josh Heupel offense. It will not work. You've got to score. We scored an average of 46 points last year and 41 the year before that. And I know there's rules changes, so pull that down 7%. But you can't score 16. Rain Orange in Gainesville right now sucks. Oh, yeah, I do. I get it. I get it. Oh, yeah, they're loving it. They're loving it down there. Oh, yeah, they're going to be wearing me out in the comment section. Crap, I'm probably going to have to go back on that High Top Sports show and listen to them give me grief about their Florida Gators and my big forehead. But I said I'd go back on it. Of course, if they don't invite me, I don't have to. So, yeah, the defense was terrible in the first half. They were terrible. Awful. And part of that, I got to give Graham Mertz credit. There were several times where we came so close to stopping him, and he would look, man, he played well. But he played like crap in the second half. They didn't do anything in the second half. All they did was try to hide. So, the penalties didn't help us, and we got some bad calls against us. That's not why we lost, though. It's not. It's not why we lost. Oh, well. Here's the thing, folks. It's one ball game. Try to remember that. It's one ball game. You're never as bad as your last game. You're never as good as your last game. Okay? Everybody's going to think we're terrible. Look, we had a similar situation against South Carolina last year where we just got bombed in Carolina. We just got our butts kicked. But the thing that bothers me is the 16 points. I can't. That's the thing that's really got me upset. I don't know. I'm not shocked that Florida showed up and balled out a little bit. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Look, when you've got 90,000 people cheering for you, you'd be surprised what a human being can do. I mean, you really would. What they were able to do doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But no, you don't want my forehead. See, I would not be a good quarterback because of my arm. I would know what to do. I would absolutely know what to do, but my arm stinks. That's why I played golf. I played golf because I could use all the if you saw me throw a football, it had an arch. I couldn't throw that. I couldn't throw the deep ball very well. I remember playing quarterback when I was a little kid, and I didn't have a good arm. But golf I could do. So now and my forehead's too big to be quarterback. Well, I don't know though. Peyton Manning did pretty well with it. Let's see. I would bring some more. I'd bring some people on the show, but I'm afraid everybody'd scream and yell and go crazy and scream and use profanity and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not going to do. There'll be none of, I'm not going to do that tonight. Look, I've already had a talk with myself that there'll be no yelling and screaming. I would just open up some positions. I would open up the QB position. I would not bench Joe. I would simply, let's see what Nico can do as well. That's all. You know, back in the old days, back in the 80s and 90s, you could put another quarterback in from time to time and nobody'd freak out. But nowadays, you got to worry about everybody's feelings. But at this point, there's nothing wrong with bringing in Nico a couple of series here and there, and let's see what he can do. I want to see what some other people can do, and I would take a look at Gaston as well. And look, Joe may end up winning it again. You know, he may win the position again, but I would open it up. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with me saying that, and there's nothing wrong with you feeling that way. You know, this is sports. And I've told y'all thank you, DJ. I've told y'all many times, when I was at UT and I played on the golf team, I wasn't a great player at all. You know, I was usually fighting to go to tournaments. But, you know, if I didn't play well that week in the qualifier, I didn't get to play. And if I did, I got to. And nobody was concerned about how I felt about it. There wasn't a single person that came, well, that's a shame. Well, you'll be better. No. Just play better. That's all. And there's some other positions of that people are taking a look at. I can promise you Florida's looking at a position. Their kicker, they tried everything to keep us in that game. The kicker missed a field goal, an extra point, another field goal. I mean, it was nuts. They finally had to replace that dude. Drum King, we've got the strongest arm in football. That's the thing about playing QB. QBs, that's a tough look. It's a tough position. It's so difficult. You're under so much stress. You got to think so fast. You got to make the right decision. If you don't, everybody's yelling at you. It's as tough as it gets. You know, like I said, I'm really trying to be careful. I don't want to sit here and rip on one guy when the whole team lost. You know, that's very important to remember. But, you know, I'm also going to say we scored 16 points in a Josh Heupel offense, and we didn't play Georgia. So when's the last time that happened? Yeah, the offensive line struggled. It struggled tonight. Some of those penalties were very difficult, and I was concerned Cooper wouldn't get in there because it was a game time decision. Usually a situation like that, you're probably not going to put the guy in because he's not 100%. So I don't question that decision. And Florida had their offensive line back squared away. They had their center back in who had started 28 or 24 games in a row. And I think that helped solidify them a little bit. But also they had the energy. You know, you could feel it in the first half. You could see how they were moving and how our defense was moving. Our defense got tired. Our defense got tired in that first half, in my opinion, and because they were out there the whole time. And Graham Mertz just kept getting the third down, and he would throw that key play, and that's the worst thing you can do to a defense. So you got to give Graham Mertz some credit. And like I said, I told you he was going to have the game of his life, and he did. Kind of is what it is. I'm so frustrated. This is such a hard loss for me, folks. I hope I'm not coming across as too negative. I really hope that's the case because this is kind of personal to me, losing to Florida. It really is. You folks know that. This is a really hard loss for me. I was really hoping we could deal with it and win 2 in a row and get this monkey off our back. And we didn't. We just didn't. It's very frustrating. Yeah. Where's Chilmont? I don't think Chilmont's going to show up. I don't think so. I don't think anybody's going to show up. And I can understand. Everybody's upset. I hear you. I'm not blaming Milton only. It was a team. You're right. I don't disagree with that. Look, it takes a whole team to lose a game. It takes a whole team to win a game. So, This was a bad night, and we could have got right back in that game. They tried to let us back in the game. We just couldn't. We just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. There were so many times in that second half where we could have scored, and we just didn't do it. But I can't believe how much Florida tried to let us back in that game. We probably saved it. We probably saved his career, honestly. We probably saved Napier. I still don't think they'll win but 6 games. I've said that from the beginning of the season. I don't think they're that good. We'll find out. We'll find out at the end of the season. I think they're going to win 6 games. I'm sticking with that. I think Florida will win 6 games. If they win any more than that, I'll be surprised. Penalty after, well, and we got some bad calls. We got some bad calls by the refs. We just flat out did. But that's not why we lost. Yeah. It was, oh gosh. I'm trying to think who played well tonight. Aaron Beasley. Aaron Beasley played well. I thought so. I thought Aaron Beasley showed up and played a really good game. Oh, man. Oh, no. Jared Garantano syndrome. You're probably right. All right, folks. I've suffered enough tonight. I wish Joe the best. I hope, first of all, I'm not saying bench him. Let me make that very, very clear. I'm saying just simply open up the competition. That's all I'm saying. Defense needs to get squared away. We need to do better at every position, including coaching. It was not a good coach game. But I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to sign off. But I appreciate y'all showing up, and I appreciate all the super chats and the super thanks. Thank you very much. And this is a painful night for me, folks. Very painful. Good night. Oh, man, this stinks.